say it like, this is the Home Tech Podcast. Ready?
This is the Home Tech.
That's close. One more try. Here we go. Ready?
This is the Home Tech Podcast.
Well, welcome to the Fitness Tech Podcast. We're live. We've got some video. We're over at Carrie's house. She's going to cook some awesome, clean food for us tonight. I thought it'd be fun. Actually, this was Carrie's idea to get together and kind of just show what it's like to cook clean, right? And so we've been talking about eating clean in the podcast over the last couple weeks. And so we thought it would be great to show a couple things. You can reach the show podcast at theaverageguy.tv. If you've been listening to the podcast, you probably know that by now. But we always like your questions, comments, suggestions on what we're doing, and especially on this podcast, Carrie, I would imagine we'd really want some suggestions.
Yes, I want to know what people want to know, what they want to see. You know, kind of what we're doing tonight is based off of the fast food conversation we had last night. So what better to make than some Chinese takeout that's sweet and sour chicken, but it's clean and it's going to be a little bit different than
So when you suggested sweet and sour, I was like yes, because that was I always fail on sweet and sour. It's heavily breaded and it's deep fried, and it's Chinese isn't always the best experience for most people. So let's dig right into it. Kind of walk us through the landscape of what you've got here.
Sure. And
we'll bring the camera over this way so that we can
I'll
get
bring
closer
this to
in.
you so you can see it. So I started earlier today, and this is the chicken marinade, and basically what's in it is some lower sodium soy sauce, some agave nectar, which is actually a natural sweetener, which is the sweetener that they use for tequila. For those of you that like to have a cocktail
nice.
or two,
Yes, very good.
There's garlic, there's chili pepper. It's just some really basic things. You generally want to marinate these things for at least 30 minutes. This sucker's been going for about 5 hours. So this will be real good. So this is already prepared. What we're going to do then is cook this up, and we're going to add some yellow onion. We're going to add some pineapple. We're going to add some green peppers. So it's going to be a nice mixture. And then rather than rice tonight, we're going to do quinoa. So we're going to have a little bit of quinoa instead of the rice, and it's going to be a great main dish. And then I also made some chocolate raspberry cupcakes, and we're going to make the icing for those. And these are really good. My kids have already dug into these a little bit.
Yeah, can we start with the dessert maybe
I know,
now?
right?
Is that all right?
These are remarkably clean. There's a little bit of whole wheat pastry flour, but mostly it's cocoa. It's a little bit of oil. There's a lot of raspberries in here, some baking soda. These are very simple. Generally with the clean recipes from a baking standpoint, you're using fewer ingredients, but they're still really hearty and they're really delicious. And the icing that we're going to make is actually, I think I might have put it away, but we're going to use some bittersweet dark Ghirardelli chocolate. And we're also going to garnish these with either strawberries or raspberries as well that are fresh. So they're very pretty and they taste fantastic.
Sounds yummy. Hey, so real quick, in the preparation for this, you'll have the recipe on the blog.
All the recipes will be on the blog.
This is really just the best chicken you can get your hands on, right? And then you just cut that up and you just added the ingredients, made a marinade, added that and let it sit. I mean, it wasn't that hard. Right?
We're talking about maybe 5 minutes of prep here.
Okay,
not much going on. And the soy sauce is about 1/3 of a cup. And I used about 1.5 pounds of chicken. It is organic chicken, and I do cut it into about inch-size bites, so we'll all get about 4 ounces of chicken when all is done.
Perfect. So the next step is to take this out and cook it.
We're gonna pan cook it,
okay.
And as we're letting this cook for a few minutes, we're gonna chop up our onion. We're gonna chop up our green pepper. We're gonna add those two things together and let those go for a couple minutes, and then the last thing that we're gonna add is actually the pineapple. While we're doing that, I'm going to heat up the quinoa. Quinoa takes about 12 minutes to make. It's very simple. It's 2 cups of water for 1 cup of quinoa, and it yields about 4 cups of product. So you get a lot, and that's going to be our base. And we need about 1.5 cups of that for the 5 of us, I guess, to be eating, because the girls are going to eat too. So we'll start with this, and as we kind of get rolling, once we get that kind of going too, we'll work on getting the frosting done for these guys.
Okay, let's do it.
Over here, we're going to actually just do it on the stove top. You certainly can actually get some tin foil, and you can do this on the grill. That's usually what I do in the summer.
Yeah.
I do a lot of kebabs in the summer. One of my favorite things to do is I just get a bunch of different vegetables, whatever I've got in my fridge, put some chicken, pineapple, onions, peppers, all kinds of stuff, and put those on sticks. And let the pan heat up. It's really important you let your pan heat up a little bit. I am going to use a little bit of organic olive oil just to kind of get the pan ready before we drop the chicken.
So I've seen like regular pan, but this is organic and it's olive oil.
Yep.
Right? Is all it is?
No calories in that sucker.
Don't we have like a little spray you can
I
put olive oil in?
I have the Pampered Chef pumper, and I just put olive oil in it.
Same type deal, right? So.
Yep. So this stuff, I get a lot of mileage out of this. I'll be honest, the place I spend most of my time is my stovetop and my oven. So that's where I use my microwave sparingly, which I know is kind of the opposite of the normal person.
What everybody does.
But I steam a lot of vegetables and things here, but we're going to use our stovetop.
That's what I do.
We'll give this guy just a couple minutes. We can get this going too, so we'll get a nice... It's a learned art form. I have a really good friend that's a chef, and, you know, watching him do that kind of thing.
Well, this is just proof that anybody can do this, right? Because I mean, I don't cook. I'm the barbecuer at our house, right, Sarah? That's what I do. By the way, Sarah's doing the camera behind the scenes here, so.
And look, it doesn't have to be pretty. That's the great thing about cooking. It doesn't have to be pretty. It just has to be.
Well, at our house, it has to be pretty, right?
We try.
We do try.
Well, so if you look at the chicken over here, and we'll give this about 5 minutes to start browning up a little bit. You can see how that marinade's in there. The garlic's gonna add a great flavor. You can already smell it. The mixture of that soy sauce and the agave has a really sweet smell, and then with the garlic, it's gonna create a really nice sweet and sour flavor. So all the flavor that when you get something from a takeout place, this is gonna give you a lot more flavor. And it's a lot more natural ingredients that you're using, so you'll still have all the yumminess, just not all the sodium, because that's one of the things you really have to be mindful of when you go to some of those places is those sodium levels.
Well, and I always come away from a Chinese place kind of like thirsty, like I've been in the desert for a month.
And have you ever noticed that you have Chinese food and within about an hour you're hungry again?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a lot of empty calories, and that chicken, when it's deep fat fried that way, there's just...
It's just really tasty though.
It is.
I'm sorry. It just really is. But I get you. I get your point. It's not great for you. So.
No, not at all.
I do crave it at times. So am I chopping these up good?
You are. You're doing great with that.
Should I keep going? Is this enough?
That should be good.
Hey, I'm not even crying.
I'm a little bit.
Do you think this will be good?
That should be good.
Okay.
We also are gonna add, and we can do. This is probably fun. We can do about half a pepper. Kind of depends on how much you like your sweet peppers. So we'll cut this guy up too. I've got a little bit more if we want it. So we'll cut that up and we'll add this to this mixture.
Same thing.
Same deal. You can actually do strips if you want to, like maybe an inch long. So you cut them a little bit. Those are kind of nice to add some crunchy and some sweet.
Okay.
And we also have.
And you just took the gunk out of this, right? You cut this in half and then took the seeds out.
I also have some, this is actually organic pineapple that I got from Whole Foods, and so we're going to add this too, and it's already cut up for us, so we don't even have to cut it. Generally, when they're more in season, I'll actually buy and core a pineapple.
Really?
I do, it's kind of fun.
That's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
It's better that way though.
Really?
Yeah, it really is.
Then out of the can?
Well,
and you can certainly, that's a great point. There's ways to make
cut
this.
These in half?
Sure.
Okay.
There's ways to really make this more of a budget-friendly thing too. You can always get, pineapple's great in a can. You can do it that way. I get a lot of canned vegetables and things like that when they're out of season because it does get kind of expensive. So that's one of the things that you can do to kind of minimize some of those costs.
Here we go. That's looking good so far.
So